am quite surprised to see that Magnus is opening up and like saying these sorts of things, because as a pro player, I mean, it just, to me, it's only giving your opposition more confidence when they play against you. It really is. Okay.
How to recover mentally after 2 losses in white? Later, you went on to win many games. This is a thing which I find very difficult to do.
Yeah, it's a good question. I've never, frankly, I always thought that I responded pretty poorly to losses. That I would, especially, well, not always. When I was little, I mostly played tournaments with stronger players, so losing was normal. I just saw it as opportunities to learn, so it was fine. Later, of course, I would lose a lot of important games, and they would sometimes get me quite tilted. But I don't know. Then I just. You know, sometimes take a little bit more risk in the next few games, and it would work out a lot. But specifically now, and I can say I was a lot calmer. Frankly, I felt that in the 2 games that I lost, like, you know, I hadn't done that much wrong. I was just focusing on trying to remain disciplined, like sticking to the things that I know that usually work in terms of what I do for preparation and my routine. And I thought, like, eventually it's a good chance that it will turn around. And like, if I'd felt that I'd done something really stupid in those 2 games, I would be more upset, I think.
Yeah, so actually Magnus literally says exactly what I was saying earlier when I played Blitz, and actually when I lost the match against Fabian in the Chessable Masters, which is when you do big things wrong, you make big mistakes, big blunders, and your opponent beats you, you're really upset at yourself because it's self-inflicted. Whereas when Magnus talks about Vaikon Zay, and I think about the games that he lost, the game that I'm thinking about specifically was the game against Noterbeck. Yes, he made a couple of mistakes, he made an exchange sacrifice, but Noterbeck also played like a complete boss in that game. So when your opponent plays really well and you just do like 1 or 2 small things wrong, then you aren't as upset as you are when it's just like self-inflicted. So I 100% agree once again with what Magnus is saying. He's absolutely spot on. As far as playing more aggressively, I think when I was younger, that's definitely true. I tried to play more aggressively. Nowadays, I just play the way that I normally would play. I just don't really change anything at all. So that's my answer. But he is right about how you're much more upset when it's self-inflicted and you've done something completely insane versus when your opponents just play a good game and they just beat you. I made a mistake in my game and went back to the hotel room and cried all night. Does he say that? I doubt it.
But what happened is, like, in the first game, I played a risky opening, trying to play for a win against Yuri. I fell for a tactic and was crushed. And in the second game, we played a very complicated game. I sacked the exchange.
And so his game against Anish, he just got blown out of the water in the opening against Anish Giri. Again, he played a line that was dubious. Anish just found all the best moves and he got absolutely smoked. So you can't be that upset about the loss because Anish played a great game. Second game against Noterbeck is going to be more of the same.
We both made some mistakes, but it was very hard to play, and I lost. It was fair enough. So I didn't feel like I'd done anything particularly wrong. Also, like, I've been well rested for those games. Like, I was not forgetting to eat during the games or anything. So I still felt like I was doing the right thing. So I will eventually turn it around.
Yeah, you guys, he's talking about Vaikon Zay, the tournament that happened in January, lost to Anish Giri and Noterbeck Abdustarov.
Yeah, in the past it's been, I've not been the person to follow when it comes to dealing with losses, because I become really pissed. Usually I'm able to sleep well, but like really pissed and not in a complete not in a complete mental balance for sure.
The two losses influence your opening choice in the next game?
No.
Also, 2 losses, it's such a rare occurrence. I mean, you don't have much experience. I think it's 10 years before the last time, something like that.
Okay, so you guys are asking me how do I handle loss. So when I lost to Wesley So in the American Cup, I'll tell you exactly how I dealt with that loss. I went out, I had some brewskis, I was playing 9-ball pool all night long. That's how I dealt with my loss to Wesley in the American Cup final. So I just chill and I don't worry about things. I just try to get away from chess altogether. That's what I do.
Like the statistics say that I do very well after losses, but I don't know. I think that I play a little bit worse, but I also put more pressure on my opponents. So
it's funny that he says this because actually now if I talk about myself, it's quite the opposite. If you look at my chess historically up until probably the last couple of years, I have always been somebody who reacts very poorly to losing a game. Like generally if I lose a game early in an event, I actually do very badly. Like historically I do terribly. Like the Grand Chess Tour events, everything else, if I lose a game early, it generally does not improve. I don't end with a good result. But in the last couple of years, actually, for me, it's gone the exact other way from being really bad to where now, because I literally don't care, I actually think I play better after a loss than I do after just like a normal game. So it's kind of interesting to hear how Magnus is saying like he thinks he plays worse but puts pressure, whereas for me, it's like the exact opposite swing of the pendulum. Yeah, Grand Prix is a good example. I lost the first round to Levon Aroni and I went on to win the event. So it is worth noting.
I've always thought that he reacted very well over the board, so that when the game starts next day, he's actually seems to be balanced and such. I mean, you might be on tilt and I don't know, make some weird choices or watch football all night or whatever. I mean, but that he would always recover in time for the next game, and that's what matters. Basically.
Yeah. Usually when I sit down at the board,
exactly. That's then it seems to be what happens before that, as long as it.
See, and this is also, I will add a point to this as well. First of all, big shout out to Mordeshendi for subbing. This is also the difference with me versus the past. And I'll tell you why, like for me specifically, it's different. It's different very specifically because now when I lose a game, like I'm looking at the chessboard and tournaments in general, it's just like, I'm enjoying it. Like I know that I'm not gonna have a chance to play another over the board tournament for like a couple of months usually, if not for like a year. So the fact that I don't have the tournaments upcoming and the result doesn't objectively matter for me makes it so much easier, because then when I play the game after a loss, I'm just like, I'm really excited to play chess because I know that as a professional streamer and not a professional chess player, I'm not gonna have the opportunities to play that much over the board. So for me, I'm really excited just to sit down and play even after losses. So that is actually that is like probably for me the biggest difference. Also, people are asking who's the guy in the green jacket. That is Peter Heine Nielsen, who is Magnus's trainer.
It was to good thing at the board. It doesn't matter so much what happens before. Is my question.
Okay. Yeah, I have a question related to that. So losses never really hurt your confidence. Also, maybe when you were younger, you said it was like a learning opportunity. So you never had any self-doubts because you lost the game.
Oh yeah, I had lots of self-doubts because of that. Like there have been many times even later in my career where I was thinking like where I've suffered a bad loss and I'm thinking like, yeah, maybe I just lost it. Maybe I don't have it anymore. Or a tournament where I failed to win several good positions and I'm thinking like, how am I ever going to win the games? I think
interesting.
In the past when I was young, it was very easy. I always thought, like even in that year, not a year, but like 8 months where I had relatively poor results, I always thought, yeah, next game, next tournament. I know I can do it. I just haven't been able to show it. And like in hindsight, I would say it was delusional, but it certainly helped me. And I never, in those days at least, I never ever lost confidence. Like when you grow up, I think it's a little bit different. Like confidence is very hard to, it's very hard to sort of attain and very easy to lose. But I somehow managed to find it again.
I remember.
Yeah, actually, for people who are asking, someone says experience for these kids. You know what's actually very surprising and unusual about this is that Magnus is saying this stuff when Magnus is still playing chess professionally. A lot of what he's saying here actually kind of I'm a little bit surprised to hear. Like, I would not be expecting Magnus to say these things, because again, it's another thing that sort of starts to, like, when you hear this, it's like, wait, he's human. He's not this, like, he's not this all-seeing, like, God, or whatever however you want to put it. And so I am quite surprised to see that Magnus is opening up and like saying these sorts of things, because as a pro player, I mean, it just, to me, it's only giving your opposition more confidence when they play against you. It really is.
Your first wipe very strongly in terms of that. Well, you actually ended up last in the April as well,
Yeah.
with a -4, -5. And I think you were doubting yourself. I was also, well, I was working for Vichy, but I was his second there. And I thought, okay, maybe he's actually not as good as I thought in the world. But then, a couple of months afterwards, you were number 2 in Linares, which is the strongest tournament, only after Vichy, right? I mean,
Yeah. So
there you managed to recover incredibly, right? And only a couple of months, right?
yeah, but I think that happens a lot when you play in new tournaments. Then I won the first round, and I was like, oh,
No, but you guys, Magnus is not on the spot. This was a training camp that was done for young junior players from Norway and India and other countries. So it's not like he was put on the spot. He chose to do this. He wasn't put on the spot. He chose to do this. This is not like, it's not like something where he's put on the spot and he has to answer. He chose to do this.
So
Oh, well, I mean, Linares was actually quite a stronger tournament than White.
yeah.
Okay, not bad. Let's watch one more video. We have one more and then we'll move on to other stuff.
Questions?
Yes, I have a question. How did you develop like this consistency, like not losing games in a very long period? Like, was it something that you did that, because I realized that I would somehow win sometimes very much and then I lose, and like sort of balance. Was there something, or just good chess?
I would say that the longest streak that I had without losing, which was that was one of the periods in my, or at least recent chess career, where I played the sharpest kind of chess, like very sharp openings, taking risks in games as well. So I think that was more of playing well, having confidence and so on. Yeah, in terms of consistency, having like good habits during games is very important. Like we talk a lot about what you should do to prepare and all of that, but I think we talk like a little bit less about like staying focused during during the games mentally. I think that's just as important. So that's something that I've like usually been able to do, is that I work really hard during the games to find every opportunity. I used to anyway. I'm not as good as it at it now that I was. I just I have less.
This was recorded. This video was uploaded 6 days ago to YouTube. That's why you probably haven't seen it. It was uploaded 6 days ago. It was very recent.
Stage of my career, but I think that's maybe the main reason that I didn't lose games in a long time. That I was just really disciplined during.
I think that's a very important point. I mean, all the legends about not using endgames, not working hard on something like this, or doing exercises, well, people have heard, but this attitude during the game, I think, stands out, and that's also, well, very different from myself, but in general. And I think, well, that's also part of the package. I mean, many seconds has maybe been frustrated with that. You don't look carefully through the files, but as long as there is this incredible professionalism during the games, I think people don't mind, because they understand that this is part of the package.
Now, this is actually great, by the way. I'm going to be honest. This is hilarious to hear this little bit, because I have to say, the person that I've worked with for many years would actually have very similar stories where he would be very upset that I missed something in a file and I went on to lose a game. So this is very this is a very familiar bit.
You stand out to compare to others, don't you? Or,
Yeah,
I mean, you're a strong
and in
person.
terms of the files as well, like the one that knows the files the best after the tournaments, it's not one of the after the World Championships, it's always me. Like I always end up knowing all the stuff.
Also, we'll speak about
World Championships are different, of course.
a bit tomorrow, but for instance, World Championships, you actually, especially with Black, recently has reverted into playing the same opening over and over again, which is very atypical.
Yeah.
But well, I
C
mean,
plus on homework, yeah.
this was difficult for me to get used to in the beginning. I mean, well, especially your dad would care a lot about what you eat before the game, during the game, and I think, okay, can we actually talk about openings instead? But well, I mean, that is something you have been quite observant about, my impression.
Yeah.
And I think rightly so, and that I would have loved to do it differently in my own career. I was just unaware of it at the time.
Interesting. Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's the other video on not losing. I mean, like I said, the main thing that stands out to me from watching these videos is that I'm starting to wonder if Magnus isn't entering a new career, or new phase of his chess career, I should say. Not new career, because then people are going to run with it, but I'm kind of wondering if he's not entering a new phase, because I think when I look at this, like a lot of what he's saying, I would not expect Magnus to be saying this. Now, I of course would gladly say it, because for the millionth time, you know what I do for a living. But I am surprised by this, because honestly I would not expect him to be saying these things, you know, considering the number of tournaments he's playing and just the view that he has. So I mean, I don't think Magnus is retiring, but I am surprised that he did this, and I think it's very clear that he's trying to some degree pass on the torch and help these junior players as they rise through the ranks. I think that is very clear from watching this video. So I mean, it is what it is, but it's very interesting to hear, and I hope you guys did enjoy that. So all right.